Hi, everyone. This is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U. And today, for the alumni only, we're going to be talking about another way to get into the game. Now, I think right now is the perfect time to get into the game. We're going to be talking about 3 different strategies that you can use that'll make it much, much easier. And we'll also talk about the upcoming alumni only contained class that will give you an advantage coming into this marketplace. So here we go. Why is it the perfect time to get back into the game? First, strike season is over. This just ended like 2 weeks ago or so. And so things are starting to pick up. Now, for those of you who haven't heard a lot of news about that, let me just tell you, every time I've been in a strike before, it usually takes between a month to 2 months for everything to pretty much get back to normal. So we're in the part right now where about half of the people are starting, the producers are starting to show up for work. They're getting settled in, things are happening, right? The industry is going back to work. Within the next month and a half or 2 months, this thing is going to be flying. So, and ask yourself, what success is possible if you take advantage of this moment? Because this particular moment, there's a lot of need. The streamers need new content. Last night I sat down, I don't know about you, but I sat down, I was working on something else, and I thought, oh, it'd be nice to have something in the background. And I couldn't find anything new that was of interest to me, because almost everything I've seen before, I ended up, putting on a show that I've watched 10 times and had it play while I was doing that. It's like there's a desperate need for new content. Producers, because of that, producers are looking for projects and are going to ramp that up very, very soon. Audiences are demanding more movies and shows. Really, we need help. We really do. We need to get this world back to where people are talking about something other than just politics. We need to talk about the fun things in life, the shows that you watched last night that you absolutely loved, and that kind of thing. So how does this affect you? The next 6 months may be the best time we've ever had for getting into the market. This is the last 2 strikes didn't come off of a pandemic. So if you look at what's happened here, we went through first the pandemic, which lasted 2 years. Very, very little got made during that period of time. People went back to work. It wasn't just enough time for some of them to finally get back to work. And then we had these strikes. So we essentially are at the end of not just 14 months of strikes, we're at the end of about, 4.5 years of this industry being shut down. So the need is incredible. There's just going to be so much opportunity, more opportunity than anything we've ever seen before. So now let's talk about contained scripts, because this is one of the things that could be an advantage for you. Let me start by saying this. We had a lady just recently. She was doing a Zoom pitch with a producer. The producer turned down the project that she went in to pitch. She still had a minute left at the end, and she just said this one sentence. She goes, "I have a contained script. Would you like to hear about that?" And the producer was like, "Yes." She pitched it in 2 sentences, and he requested it. He didn't request the script that she's been working so hard on, the one that, that has gone through all kinds of processes and that kind of thing. He requested the contained script, and there's a major reason why. It's because it's so much easier to produce, right? It's like, think about it. If instead of having to have 30 actresses and actors, you can do this with 4 or 5. Instead of having to have 25 setups, which means you've got to pack everything up and move it to the next place, you can do this with 3. It's like it instantly makes a difference if you do the right stuff. So there's some things that absolutely need to be here. Most people writing contained scripts aren't thinking about those things. They're just thinking, oh, I'm just writing a low budget script. But I'll tell you, there are contained scripts that started careers. I'm going to give you 3 here. But there's about 20 where a contained script started somebody's career. So here's the first one. This guy, Ronald Shusett. He wrote this movie, Alien. He wrote it with Dan O'Bannon. But I interviewed Ronnie Shusett, and he had written this contained script called Star Beast. It was later retitled Alien. And he said that what he'd done was he'd come out to Los Angeles. He was sleeping on his friend's couch. Now, his friend Dan O'Bannon had one project going at that time. He had made one deal. It was a small deal. We never ever heard of it. I've never seen the movie. Nobody else has seen the movie because it wasn't anything like this one. Ronnie said he was sleeping on Dan's couch for a period of about 3 months. And one day before he went to bed, he said to himself, I've got to come up with something. He says, I got to figure this out. I got to come up with something that's going to change things. And he woke up the next morning with Star Beast. And by the way, the pitch for Star Beast at that time was Jaws in a spaceship. What would happen if you had a Jaws kind of monster in a spaceship where nobody could get away? That was the pitch. And it's a good pitch. If you went in with it today, they'd say, oh, that was Alien 1 through 5, and that kind of thing. But it took him a little bit. I think he said he spent like 2 weeks on the couch before that happened. And it happened kind of out of desperation, but it doesn't need to. You can actually come up with pitches that are better than that just by using the right process. So what happened after that? With that contained success, he wrote and produced Total Recall, Freejack, Minority Report, and about 5 others. And he got royalties on every single Alien that ever happened. Not bad for a contained script. Our next one. James Wan and Leigh Whannell wrote a contained script called Saw. They were in Australia. Nobody in Australia would make that movie. So they came here to Los Angeles. So this was one of the movie posters. Looks pretty morbid. But these guys came up with one idea, and the idea basically was, what if you had a villain who tortured people by forcing them to solve, morbid puzzles, or they die. Right? That was the idea. So they had a great idea, and then all the rest was fairly okay. It was all right. It wasn't great. It was okay. But after the success of Saw, which Saw immediately had success, it cost $1 million. It made back $100 million. The second that thing lit up, they got all kinds of things. Leigh ended up writing Insidious, he worked with James on this. Chapters 1, 2, and 3. He wrote Upgrade. He wrote The Invisible Man, while James directed 23 movies, including a whole bunch of big budget movies. These 2 guys had a life that all those people in Australia who turned them down wish that they would have been part of. And again, this was low budget. It was a contained script with a great idea. That was it. and it completely changed their lives. Here's a third one. And this one was written originally as a contained script. Then they brought a director on and they made it bigger. They ended up with like 30 characters and stuff like that. But a lady named Diablo Cody, who at the time was writing a column about a stripper, because she had been a stripper for a year. I think it was, I can't remember what it was called. It was like The Unlikely Stripper or something like that. So a manager saw her column and said, hey, what if you wrote a script? She put together this contained script based on some things she had seen in high school. It was called Juno. And you may remember this movie. This is just such a simple little movie, and it's got what it's got. It's got a teenager with a surprise pregnancy who basically goes against the grain of making the kind of decisions everybody else would make, and who does it unapologetically. So it's this amazing character who most kids in that situation would be flipping out and trying to figure out how to fit in and all that kind of thing. This character just said, screw you guys. I'm doing this. This is my life. This is where I'm going to go. And she didn't care. She wasn't mean to everybody. She was just unaffected by their issues that were not her issues. So she had this cool character who was going through what most people would consider to be an awful time, and just living life as somebody who believed in herself. After that, it won an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. Now, and it's like Diablo Cody had come from nowhere. I think she was in like Minnesota or something like that. She basically came from nowhere. The first real attention that anybody got was when Jason Reitman signed on as director, and at that point, then he basically asked her to do some rewrites, and made this a bigger movie. But I'm telling you, it started as a contained. It won an Academy Award. Since then, she's done a whole bunch of stuff. She's been involved with different projects. Young adult, Ricky and the Flash, Lisa Frankenstein just came out here about a month ago. And she had a show called The United States of Tara, which was, I think, went 2 seasons. All of that came from writing this small contained movie. Now, I have a question for you here. And this is where I had a huge breakthrough the other day. I was thinking about, all right, everybody is, just kind of standing there going, what's happening in this industry? This has been going on for a long time. And now we're to the point where it's starting. So before I went to bed, I said, you know what, I need a breakthrough on this. I need to be able to think about this in a different way. And this is where it came. So here's the question. Can you write at this level? Take Alien. Now just look at these and ask yourself, could you come up with a concept like an alien predator on board a spaceship, right? You're only putting 2 things together, this kind of thing, or something 5 times better could come out of any brainstorm session you did for a concept. Just putting 2 things together that should absolutely never be together. Could you do that? My guess is you already have. My guess is every person here has something that they've created where they've got some kind of great concept, but could you do it again? And then the conflict, it's going to hunt the crew and no one has a place to run. Once we know this alien predator is on a spaceship, this is obvious, right? You can create that conflict pretty easy. And then the deeper layer. And if you've been in any of our major classes, we're working with deeper layers like crazy. Binge-worthy and writing incredible movies. This is a big focus of what we're doing. The android who's on board was programmed to bring the alien back no matter what the human casualties. Now, could you come up with a deeper layer like that? And I don't mean that exact one, but could you come up with a deeper layer that surprises everybody, fascinates people, has them go, oh my God, they were doomed from the beginning? And I think the answer is yes, you can. And then the big question, how does anyone survive? Because one person does survive. How does that person survive? Now, again, take a look at these. Could you write at this level? Right? It's like, look at these contained movies. These are hit contained movies. Could you write at this level? Could you create a character who goes kind of against the norms, like Juno, has this situation that most people would freak out about, but come up with a unique way that she deals with it, that people go, wow, that's amazing, right? Because this, if you look at this movie, it wasn't that complex. It was just she dealt with the whole thing in a different way, from a completely different perspective. She had a perspective that surprised us, that surprised him. He thought, oh, they just had sex, therefore they're now boyfriend and girlfriend. And then she tells him, no, that's just something I wanted to do. I'll see you tomorrow, and leaves. And is like, oh, she's really nonchalant about these things that everybody else is freaked out about. Could you create a character that has something interesting like that? And I'm positive you can, right? Now, this one's a little tougher, but it's like they just looked at a villain and they brainstormed. And I've heard these guys' story. They were sitting down in Australia. They couldn't get anybody to make anything. They started saying, we need to come up with something really interesting. They picked horror, and then they brainstormed the villain, and then they brainstormed him again, and then they brainstormed him again. And on the fifth try or something like that, they had a breakthrough, right? And this is what we do. We come up with breakthroughs. And if you're in any of these major classes, that's what we're doing. And this one that we're going to talk about, we're going to do breakthrough stuff almost every day. Every time, actually once a week, we'll get together. Every time we get together on Zoom, we will be focusing on what does it take to create breakthroughs. Because it's not, all the people that write something that's good, and then they put a whole lot of details around it, and they go, okay, with all these details, I love it the way it is. That doesn't sell anything. That actually gets you somebody saying, well, it's a good read, but I can't sell it. You need something else. So we'll talk about what that is in just a second, and I'll show you why you can do it now. But back to these guys. As soon as they figured out who that villain was, they knew their lives were going to be great. They did. And they wrote the first one and wrote it in a way so it would be easy to shoot. And they had a situation that people couldn't figure out. They couldn't, it's like, how do you deal with that? If you were put in that situation and you've got to cut off some part of your body in order to live, how do you deal with that? Right? And it's like, from there they went, you know what, this guy, that was just one of his puzzles. We can generate all kinds of them. And they brainstormed a whole bunch of different puzzles, and those became Saw 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it gave them an incredible career. This stuff we're doing right now could easily have you be able to create something like this. You have the writing skills, right? You have the writing skills. If you've even been through the Pro Series, you have the writing skills to be able to write any of these movies. Really. Think about it and just nod yes, you've got it. Right? You do. You absolutely do. And all it's about really is just coming up with an idea. because this is the thing that is the problem, and this is the breakthrough I woke up with the other day. The first breakthrough I woke up with was our writers already have this. You guys already know how to create this, and if you join me for the class, I promise it's going to be better, but you already know how to create this. The thing is, most people are writing scripts the way they used to still. They're writing something that they think, wow, that would be fun to write. I want you to make this decision. You are going to write only the things that will sell. And I'm going to give you the easiest way to find the things that will sell. I'll show it to you in a couple minutes here. It's part of the class that's coming up. But this is, I think, the most important decision you could make. Just a second. The guy who wrote Safe House, Guggenheim, he said he had been writing screenplays for 10 years. At the end of 10 years, he had a baby on the way, and he thought to himself, you know what? If I don't make it right now, I don't know if I have the time. I want to spend time with my daughter that's going to be showing up here soon. So at that point, he made one decision that changed everything. He decided he was only going to write what was going to sell. And out of that, he brainstormed a bunch of stuff. A lot of the things that he would have normally written, he put aside, and he picked one called Safe House because we hadn't seen that before. It had a hook that we hadn't seen. It had an environment that we hadn't seen, right? So make this decision. You're going to write something that's easy to sell. Right now's the time. Right now's the most important and valuable time ever for making a decision like this. So the key to that, first, you got to have a major hook, right? That means you're brainstorming. So Jaws on a spaceship, is that possible? Again, the key to this, everybody thinks it's coming up with what movie do I compare it to? That's not what the key is. The key to this right here is putting two things together that should never be together, ever. There should never be an alien predator on a spaceship. That just, no, because there's no place for people to go. So you put that together. A villain who makes people solve morbid puzzles or die, right? It's like, this is an incredibly unique villain who has this way of torturing people that is within their control, but just borderline impossible. They're going to have to do more for this than anything. And by the way, the one thing I really loved about him was at once he's done that, he sees it as he helped them, and so do they. Remember in the very first one, the lady who had to take the bear trap off of her head and stab a guy and pull the key out in order to get the bear trap off her head, she told the police at the end, he helped me. And it's like, think about it. This villain, morbid puzzle, they're going to die. They're going to have to do the fight of their life, and it's to help them value their lives again. That's what made this incredible. So, and then this one, teenager with unwanted pregnancy who defies all the norms. This is a nice way to write it, but I think she has this unique perspective that nobody else can get. It's like she's, and I don't know, I don't think this is how it happened, but it's like she's a monk. She's a Shaolin priest who can walk on fire, who can walk through walls, who can fight 100 people, and is just totally okay with it. And has no real issues with anything because she's at a different level. She's operating someplace else, but it's not presented like, oh my God, she's got this special power. It's presented through a whole bunch of moments where she does the opposite of what we thought she would. And then we go, oh, I see. Oh, that's who she is. I see. So But this was the pitch. A teenager in high school with an unwanted pregnancy who defies all the norms. So there's a major hook, right? So the hook is then the high concept and the great title. Really important. When you're creating a contained movie, you need these two. Just having a contained movie where something happens and people are contained and that kind of thing, if you don't take it to this level, you've just got a cool story. And that's what I saw the last time we did this. Since I didn't focus on this stuff, and by the way, we have prompts for both of these. We have a prompt for creating the high concept, finding the major hook, and we have an AI prompt for creating titles and generating as many titles as it takes for you to find one that's great. So this is something that you can do. Easier, by the way, is this is just contained with a truly strong pitch, but pretty much that's what we're saying here. Key number 2, and this just happened yesterday. A lady, we have people marketing right this second. And somebody is marketing a script. I won't say who, but somebody's marketing a script that doesn't have a strong hook. And we've done 3 weeks worth of marketing. And this is for I have 2 classes that are pitching producers or pitching managers. The other one we're going to start working on here in about 2 weeks. But once I've got this one off the ground, but we have somebody who just pitched 100 managers. They sent out query letters to 100 managers and didn't get a single script request. And I looked at it, and there's not a strong hook there. So this was my advice. Where's the hook? I said, basically, what's the most interesting thing? How do you take this to a whole new level? And by the way, once you rewrite that hook, once you make that hook better, go back and rewrite the script to match the pitch. Create a pitch that is so far beyond your script that you have to rewrite it. Because if you're marketing and your hook isn't working, then that means you need to step outside that box and go to a place that is so much better, which demands that you rewrite the script. And that's okay. All you do is you do your pitch, and then when they request it, you say, oh, thanks so much for the script request. I just found something and I need to do a rewrite. I will get it back to you in 15 to 20 or 30 days, whatever you want to say. And then just say, is that okay? Thanks so much for the script request. Everybody, make sure you know this. Thanks so much for the script request. I just found something I need to rewrite. I'll get it back to you in 30 days. Is that okay? And they'll say yes. I have asked 100 producers about that in front of live audiences, because people get freaked out and they send the same script that doesn't match the new hook. So don't do that. If you come up with a new hook, like let's say you're in the middle of pitching and suddenly you come up with this new hook, and it's like it's getting script requests, go back and rewrite that script right now. While you keep marketing, don't stop marketing. You've now got a hook that can get you in. Get it in front of as many producers as possible, but be rewriting the script every day, and just let them know it's going to take 15 days. I'll get it to you then. They will be all right with that. All right. So make this decision. If you haven't made this decision, make it now. I'm only going to write scripts that are easy to sell. All right. And then it's about creating opportunities for your success. Now, by the way, if it seems like I'm being adamant, it's just because I'm looking at this situation and going, wow, we have somebody else who's in one of the marketing group right now who did all of the things I'm saying, and she's gotten 30 script requests so far. And that makes a huge difference. So creating opportunities for your success. Opportunities means a lot of things. You could go out to smaller producers. And by the way, an opportunity to me is this. Anytime you get even your pitch in front of some producer, whether it's through a query letter or virtual pitch fest where the producer is required to read the query letter, or one of those Zoom meetings with Roadmap or Sage 32, or anything else, send them a physical letter, make a phone call, whatever it is. The moment you get any pitch in front of a producer, you just created an opportunity, right? So this is something where you've got contained pitch. I'll show you how to do it in just a moment. I'll show you what to say, but you've got something interesting. You're bringing in something with a high concept, a great title, and it's contained. Easiest place to go is small producers. And again, yeah, so I'll show you how to pitch it again, just a minute. And then I'd present it to managers, but present it to managers is something they could possibly produce. And I'll tell you why. Most of the contained projects are fairly low budget. And if you're going to a manager, you're looking for really one of two things in that situation. Somebody who says, wow, I can sell that, but it's going to be low budget. What else do you have? And you hand them something that is mid-level budget, 30 million kind of thing, that also has a high concept and a great title and is something that will be easy to market, right? So you could use this to get in the door, or you could use your other one to get in the door, and then just present the contained movie as something the manager might produce, because managers can do both. They can manage and produce. And what this does is it gets you've got a manager and they're producing your project. You are deeply involved in this project from start to finish. Your manager is going to protect you, so they're not going to try to replace you. It's just a cool situation. And then the other thing that we do is we use contained scripts as a follow-up pitch. So I told you about the lady who was on Zoom and she had 1 minute and the producer had already turned her down. She just said, by the way, I've got a contained movie. Would you like to hear about that? And that was the one the producer ended up requesting. And then go out to your network and ask, who do you know who wants a high concept contained script? And this question, we had one guy who wasn't getting any script requests. He had about 400 producers on LinkedIn. So he'd been doing the work to get producers on LinkedIn. He had about 400 of them. He went out with a question that was almost identical to this. It just had something different right here. But it's like, who do you know who wants a X? And then you make sure whatever you're saying is really great. A high concept thriller is what he asked. He got back 20 script requests the first day. He hadn't had any script requests yet. 20 the first day. He went on over a period of a month to get 99 script requests asking this question. So just be thinking about that, because the answer could be, oh, let's see, what producers do I know who are looking for a contained project right now? Well, I can think of this one, this one, this one. Or the answer could be, me, I'm looking for that. And it may be that they're not looking for that. They just hadn't thought of it. And now they're looking and going, wait a minute, where we are in this industry right now, if I have a contained script, I could get it made faster. If it's high concept, I can market it. This might be the thing that makes my career as a producer. And yours, of course, as a writer. So be thinking about it. Now, contained model, just a couple of things to know. First, this is why producers actually love these. And I'll say, if we back up before the pandemic, if we back up before the pandemic, there were a lot of producers who absolutely know they would not do a contained project. They wouldn't even think about it. And I'm going to say 95% of the producers out there, this was not a hit for them. It didn't mean that much. But as soon as we hit the pandemic, it became the thing they needed because of all those COVID restrictions, right? So in production, and by the way, once they knew how to do this, once they started seeing everybody doing contained movies, then suddenly this became something that pretty much most of them were willing to look at. In production, it's few locations, few actors, less actions required to cast and to shoot, right? Less setups, less sets. You can leave the same setup up there. You don't have to have somebody come every day and truck all your materials, or not your materials, all your equipment away. It's like amazing the difference it makes. You can just show up every day as a director and focus on doing your job. And it can be done on a low budget or a high budget. There are, let's see, what was it? A Quiet Place, if I remember correctly, was done somewhere around 17 million. There are different, there's some that say 17, some say 25. The movie Gravity, which was a contained movie, it only had 3 characters. One of them only said one line. It had 4 locations. Most of it took place on one spaceship, and then we're in another spaceship, and then we're in a third, and then finally we're on the beach. The 4th location had like one scene. It's like, and the budget on that was $100 million. Incredible. They had 2 big actors, Sandra Bullock, George Clooney. Just astounding. So it's possible that it could go much higher. Marketability, contained projects first are so much easier to produce, so many less days, budget's lower. It's just like you just took all the problems out. And they're easy to pitch. It is so much easier to get a producer to say yes to this. So I think every writer needs at least one contained script that has a great pitch. If you've written a contained script before and it doesn't have a great pitch, something you can say in 1 or 2 sentences and it will light people up immediately, then write the next one and focus only on making sure you got the pitch. So three keys. I'm going to just give you a couple more things. We've already said this. You need a unique concept, right? Singles, you just ask, all you want to do is ask this question and answer it in a single sentence. What makes this unique? What makes this something we haven't seen before? You need a unique contained world. And again, there are a lot of people who go, well, I'll just put it in an underground bunker. And it's right. Well, yeah, that was 10 Cloverfield. So you need something unique, something we haven't seen. We haven't seen it, and it has surprising layers. What could that be? Key number 3, you need great roles that attract actors. And this, if we go back to Gravity, we had actors, both of them were A-list, they dropped down. Gravity took them from B-list back to A-list again. Just be considering that. There are C-list actors who made it back to A, or back to at least B-list. I interviewed Sissy Spacek. Well, I got to think of the movie she was in. I'll think of it in a minute. But Sissy Spacek, there was a movie that she did. This was like 15 years ago. Her career was over. Nobody was willing to cast her in anything. It was a low budget movie. I interviewed her and the director. They did it for $1 million. It was called In the Bedroom. If you remember that, In the Bedroom. I asked her, I said, this, the director hadn't had anything happen before. He'd done a bunch of shorts and that kind of thing. I said, why did you choose to do that? At the moment that we were talking, she was C-list, maybe D-list. And she said, I read my role and I knew that could restart my career. And it did. After that, she was in about 10 movies. She was on a couple of TV series. Uh, you know, it changed everything. So that's what you're looking for. When we're talking about this, if you end up with somebody who's doing it on a low budget, you're looking for the C-list or D-list actors who need to get back up, or you're looking for the ones who are just beginning their careers and haven't made anything happen yet. And this is the thing that's going to take them to the next level. George Clooney, that's how he got started. He was working with a director in Austin, Texas. I think it was Robert Rodriguez. And they had this movie that I thought was terrible, but George Clooney was wanting to go into movies. He was a TV actor at that point. A lot of people knew him, but he couldn't open a movie. So he took a role in there that was really very different than anything he'd done. For the first time, we saw him do action and those kinds of things, and be the bad guy instead of the doctor. And it changed everything. So that's what you're looking for. You are going to help these actors change their life. And in the midst of it, it's going to change your life. So you'll love this genre because first you have characters with layers and intrigue. Even if you're doing a drama, and there are, like Juno was a drama. Even if you're doing a drama, there are layers and intrigue built into who those characters are. These are normal people, but this is the key. Beneath the surface is more important than what's on the surface. Incredibly important. There's surprising layers, hidden agendas, secrets, and a whole bunch of other things that go with that. So you are looking to discover what's beneath that surface that is going to make this character amazing. Then there's the fun of designing the maze of impossible situations. And this is, again, like when I said, if you just put characters down in a bunker, that's the same as 10 Cloverfield Way or whatever it's called. It depends. Do you create the maze? And I don't mean a literal maze. Do you create something that, like, if you look at this one, this is one location, and yet it has so many different possibilities inside it. And it's so easy for the character to do the wrong thing. Do you create that? Because if you create that, anybody who reads it, once they get to the second possibility, they're going to be surprised and they're going to be going, what the hell? And they will read every page because of that. And the other thing that you'll love about this genre is the instant reaction from many producers. Many producers, really, if you just say, oh, I also have a contained script, would you like to hear about that one? That's it. They're interested right that moment. It's like, yeah, I'm looking for a contained script. Or, yeah, that would certainly make my life easy. Or, yeah, we have the funding for that. What is it? Right? So it's a form of bait that can give you something you didn't have before, their attention. So here's how to pitch. And then I'll tell you about the class. You just mention contained first. I have a project that's contained. Would you like to hear about it? And you could do it in a different way. You could say, you could just give the concept. I have a contained thriller about blah, 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 right? Make sure you tell them the high concepts that you have then, right? It's a single sentence. It answers the question, what makes this unique? What makes it something we haven't seen before? What's going to cause an audience to want to see this? And then some kind of unique confinement or a unique reason for confinement or a unique monster or villain. All you need, first, it's great if you put all three of these together and they all work together and make sense. But all you really need is one. If you have one of these, that surprises us, that's unique, that's interesting, that's different than anything we've seen before, that may be enough. And usually what happens when you get one, you suddenly go, oh my God, it's like that. Now I understand. The confinement isn't about that, it's this, right? Or you figure out who the monster is, and it's like, oh, that just changes and gives me a high concept. So let me demonstrate something for you real fast here. Now, this is ChatGPT. This is the reason I recommend ChatGPT right now is because they actually let you opt out of them using your project for training. And that's important. There are others that say they don't use your project for training, but we can't confirm it. We don't know what they're doing with the material that's there. But with ChatGPT, you can actually go here, click settings, and go through the process of opting out so that they cannot use your material. That makes your project safe. Now, I just want to show you, I'm going to brainstorm one thing. And here's, for this prompt, all you have to do is put in a genre and a preference. So your preference could be a full, let's say you have a full concept already. You could put that. Or it's something like this, like, here's my preference. Moon base that aliens have taken over. That's my preference. I just thought of that 7 minutes before we got on Zoom. And it's just, it's easy. You're just looking for some hook. What's something that's somewhat interesting? And so this is all you have to put. You just put a genre and a preference. And by the way, the preference could be a unique character. I have a character with only one eye, that has one eye in the middle. It could be a mission. 3 people sent to the bottom of the ocean knowing they'll die. It's like, okay, and what happens with that? It could be you came up with this really cool location. In this case, I was thinking moon base. That's kind of cool, but with aliens taking it over, that makes it more interesting. Just anything that's a preference. What ideas are, what do you prefer that it brainstorms? So let me just show you how this works here. So I've asked it specifically to give us a title, a concept, and I told it what I wanted to do with that, reason for confinement, a main conflict, and a unique world. Okay, so here's what we're doing here. I'm asking it for 5 of these. Now, this is, by the way, this is included in the class that I'll show you, the contained class that we're doing with just the alumni. I ask it for 5 of these, and I go through and consider each one of them. At the end of this, if I look, let's say I really like echo chamber, this one right here, then I will copy it, I'll paste it into a Word doc or an email or something like that, where I'm keeping the concepts I like. Please don't do 20 or 10. Do 5. There's a reason for that. If you probably heard that thing, people are able to maintain ideas in their head plus 7 or 5 plus or minus 2. So it's like, or 7 plus or minus 2, 7 plus or minus 2. So at 5, you can still be creative. If you put up 10 of these, I've done it 20 times, every single time. By the time I read 10, I'm confused out of my mind. And that keeps me from being creative. That shuts people down. So do 5 at once. What you'll do is you'll brainstorm 5. Let's say you like this one, you move it over. And then if you don't like any of the others, no problem. Then ask it to give you 5 more. And you just ask it to give you 5 more. That's it. It'll give you 5 more. Now you look through those and you really think. You don't, and again, you're looking for Is there something there that can sell? Is there something that's unique that we haven't seen yet? So I just want to go through one of these so you can see how I'm thinking. Concept: a small crew on a research base must find a way to escape after the moon's dark side is overrun by hostile aliens. Okay, that's interesting because where do you escape? Reason for containment: the crew is trapped on the moon's dark side, cut off from communication with Earth. Okay, I don't know how you stay on the moon's dark side for more than 24 hours or 12 hours. Main conflict: the crew must repair a broken shuttle to avoid alien attacks. I would say that's the main thing they have to do. I'm okay with that. I would be putting in something about the alien attacks as the main conflict. They have to survive these, and that's a big thing, and I'd make that interesting. Unique world: the moon base with shifting gravity fields and areas of complete darkness, heightening a sense of isolation and danger. Now, I do like that. I like heightness. I like all of this, really. But I don't think that gives me enough on this unique world. So here's what I would be doing. I'd be saying, if I liked this one, let's say I liked the concept and I liked the reason for containment, but I didn't like these two. First, I'd move it over, I'd delete those two, or I'd keep what I like and then say, all right, I need to brainstorm those. And I would look through the rest of these to see if there's a better unique world. Right? Does this one have a better world? Does this one have a better unique world right here? Because you never know when this one might have a great concept and this one might have an amazing world that we haven't seen, right? So it's like the first thing you do is you go through and you look at all 5, you pick one that you like, you figure out what things do you think need to be improved, you look to see if any of them existed. Cool. Now then, after that, now you go to the next group, you hit give me 5 more. And allow it to give you the next 5. There they are. Right? I'm not going to look at those right now because I don't want to get confused here. But basically what it comes down to is if you go to that next 5 and you're only thinking about them, you've already picked the one that you like. Now you're looking for something better. And then if you need to do it again, you're looking for something better. Now, I wouldn't do it 3 times in one shot. I'll tell you how to do it a little bit later on. But here's what I'm telling you. By the time you've played with this, you can come up with something that is so far out of the norm, so unique, so interesting, so compelling that you have something that nobody's ever seen before. And all 4 of these main parts work together to make it incredible. Now, after you've done this, then it'll be about looking for the villain and things like that. But you want to get at least this part. You want to make sure that you've got a strong conflict, you've got a unique world, you've got a concept that is really strong, and a reason for containment. I've seen too many contained ones where there's no reason they have to stay there. They're just there. And that's just not good. Okay, so let me just finish off the things we're saying here and give you guys a chance to join us. So this is the program we're doing. It's the contained screenplay, but we're doing it in a different way. First, the pre-lesson, which will come out tomorrow, you'll get the AI prompt to start creating your concept. My request to you is that you create 1 new project a day for the next 5 days. And that way, you'll have gone through at least 5 each time to create 1. Each one will be the best of 5, and then you will end up in the end picking the best of 25 to write. That quintuples the amount, your chance of having a marketable script. We're going to do live Zoom meetings every Saturday at 1 during this. There'll actually be 5 of those meetings, 1 at the beginning, 1 at the end. So every Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I will answer all your questions. My objective is this. I want you to become great at this. I want this to become the thing you are the best at. however good you are at other things, I want you to become even better here. And so I'm going to be there to answer your questions. The questions are going to be focused. You're going to be focusing on what we're doing and the whole contain thing. So I'm not answering questions about other classes or other situations or any of that kind of thing. But don't worry. The groups that we've already done this with, it's amazing. Any of you who are in one of those groups, we're doing it right now with Writing Incredible Movies. We've had some of the most amazing conversations I've had with writers. So again, my objective is that you become great at this. It's a 30-day class. You're going to create one contained script. Once you master this process, you'll be able to create as many contained scripts as you want, and they'll all be marketable because you'll know what you're doing and you'll have the tools we're giving you. The start date, September 7th. That's 1 week from today, if I'm correct. Zoom dates then every Saturday from then till October 5th. The time, 1 p.m. Pacific time again. The price on it's $199. Right now you can get in for $99. This will be available for the next 2 days. If you already know you want to do it, just jump in so you don't end up making a mistake. It will, as soon as Cheryl gets back from her show, she's going to raise the price. So that's either sometime Monday or she'll be back by Monday night. So so this is just do it. Just join us. And all the meetings will be recorded and put up on the Screenwriting Classes page so that you can see them. Here's the link. bit.ly, just write this down real fast, bit.ly/alumni-contained. So it's bit.ly/alumni-contained. No spaces, no caps. Just write it the way you see it. And let me just say a couple other things. There are 3 advantages here that can help you sell. I want this to be clear for you. I want you to come in to sell a script. It's like, and if you really don't want to sell a script, I got it. If you want to just learn contained, up to you. But I want you to come in to sell a script because that will mean you will have a 10 times better chance of it. So advantage 1 is you're going to create a great pitch. You're going to run the concept prompt 5 days in a row with 5 different perspectives. So find something different. If let's say I only wanted to do sci-fi, so I did a moon base. I might do an abandoned spaceship next. I might do, something at the bottom of the ocean. I might do, they discovered, some drug that makes people into aliens. I don't know. I just make up something every day, some kind of perspective, and run it, have it create 5 concepts, and then play with them and pick the best one. So at the end of 5 days, you have 5 high concepts. Each day you pick the best one and improve it. So it's 1 out of 5. You picked the best out of 5 every single day and you improved it. Second, then you're going to, out of those 5, you're going to pick the best one, and that's the one you write in this program. So you are selecting the best out of 25 different possible projects. That's amazing. This will change your life. Okay, come into class day 1 of the class next Saturday, already having selected your project. So advantage number 2 is the Q&A with me to make sure your script is great. I'm not going to do script consulting, but I will make sure you know what you're doing. If you have a question about what constitutes a contained environment, we'll figure it out. If you need to figure out what's the difference between brainstorming it this way versus brainstorming it that way, we'll figure it out, right? Our job on this is to make sure that you are a master at this so that you will write an incredible script. And complete understanding means you're going to make better decisions, and that means you'll do great when you work with producers. And then advantage number 3 is we are going to end it. There's only going to be two AI prompts. One is the first one is the end. We will end it with an AI title prompt so that you can brainstorm a great title. Let me tell you the story of Sean Cunningham. Again, you may have heard this before, but Sean Cunningham was this guy who had made a low budget indie movie that had no success whatsoever. And he was trying to figure out his next low budget indie. And so he thought he would make a kid's movie that was like Bad News Bears for soccer. And so he was brainstorming a title. And what he did, and this is what I loved, he says he brainstormed 200 titles over a 4-day period. Now, you can brainstorm 200 titles with our AI prompt in about 15 minutes. But he brainstormed 200 titles. He went through, he marked out all the ones he didn't like. At the end of that, he said he had about 10 that he thought were really good, and this one just popped out at him. And I said, what was the one? You guys already know this probably. He says, the title that popped out at me was Friday the 13th. And I was like, okay, so now you have this title, what'd you do? And he said, well, he says, I was still kind of stuck on writing this Bad News Bears movie. So he said, I tried everything I could to make it about Friday the 13th. I had the pitcher was born on Friday the 13th. You know, the game was being played on Friday the 13th. And he said, he had all these things that he just kept saying it's not right. And so finally he said, let me just honor the title. And they wrote a horror movie that, by the way, if you look at it right now, any person here could write a better script than that first Friday the 13th. Any one of you. He wrote a horror movie called Friday the 13th, and that started things. And I said to him, so I'm in front of this audience. Some of you may have been there. We had 40 of our masterclass writers there. And I said, Sean, I want to ask you a question. And if this is offensive, you don't have to answer it. And he goes, okay. I said, how much of your success came from that title? And he sat there for a minute, for an entire minute, looking at the floor. And then he looked up and he said, almost all of it. Now, at the time, they've had 12 Friday the 13th. It's time for the 13th one. They've had it in production twice. It didn't go. It was right before the pandemic. He just emailed me 2 days ago, so I'm going to talk with him and see how it's going. But this guy made hundreds of millions of dollars because he came up with one great title. So that's what I hope for you. That's our purpose. Last thing, you know the lessons. First day, we're going to look at all the key decisions, right? So this will be like some of the ones that you brainstorm with the AI are some of the key decisions. Then it'll be about making sure that you have a high concept. I won't be able to say 100% you will, but it's up to you. If you're willing to do the stuff that we're talking about, very likely you'll have a high concept. Then it's who are the right characters for this story? Because a lot of times I see these contained movies where somebody just crammed in characters that weren't designed for the situation. You need characters that are very specific and make a difference. Brainstorming, this will change your life. Brainstorming infinite possibilities inside confinement. And this one came because our development team, one of the people there was saying the problem with contained movies is there's only 2 or 3 things you can do inside one of those rooms. So we took a single room and we said, all right, this is only one room. And we brainstormed about 75 things in like 20 minutes that you could do inside that single room. And different kinds of conflicts and different things that happen and different stages of the story and everything else. Once you understand this, you can take almost anything. If you have a great contained world, you can create so many different things inside that confinement. building in character depth, layers, incredibly important. Both of these are important because this story is going to be based on only a couple of characters. Surprising character journeys, then structure, keeping it low budget, right in your outline. And then finally at the end, yes, you need a great title. Don't worry about, please don't lock in a title before we get to that. You want to have all this information when you go to create a title. You want to know what your story is when you're creating a title, because that gives you the chance to find one that really is perfect for your story. And just a final note, the live meetings are one time only. Those are the only time I'm going to do those. If you want to take the class after that, you'll get the recordings. But if you want to ask questions and be part of that and see what's going on, please join us on that. And the special ends on Tuesday. So at that point, then the price will be going up. Here's the link. Listen, I want to say it was great seeing you all today, and I am looking forward to working with you in the class. Bye-bye, everyone.